and I'm a bit dazed today because I had a really hectic week at work. I do have a day job. YouTube is not the only thing that I do in my life. Why is my nose itchy? Oh God, I'm never prepared. 39 is like, bahut ho gaya, boss. I cannot take this. What do you think this is, Republic TV? The polyglot. Bible. Why did I say Bible like the Kardashians do? Not a very easy word to speak. What else was I supposed to say? I did it my way. And the pain of creative process. Trust Amir Khusro to write about something absolutely abstract. Haal hamara jaane hai. If I say it, then I do it. Really chaotic July, you guys. Snap out of it, Ruchika. Hello, and welcome to Eyeshadow and Etihaas. I am Ruchika Sharma, and I'm a bit dazed today because I had a really hectic week at work. I don't have a major script prepared for today's episode, so I'm just going to wing it. And in case a lot of you didn't know, I do have a day job. YouTube is not the only thing that I do in my life. I have a day job. I teach history for a living for my day job. And I have a few other credentials that have been listed in the description box. And for those of you who have hopped onto the channel very recently and have no idea what Eyeshadow and Etihaas is, it is basically what I intellectualize as my passion project, where I usually do when I make up look like this one, while talking about a particular topic from Etihaas, which is history. And if something like this really resonates with you, please do subscribe. And if you're one of those people who's like, I don't know what she's saying, I'm a fact checker, then there are a list of sources mentioned in the description box that you can use to fact check me. Or you can just read them in case whatever I say over here sparks your curiosity on the subject. Now today's episode is actually a continuation of the previous episode, episode 9 of Eyeshadow and Etihaas, where I spoke about Sahifa Banu Begum, who was one of the most prolific female painters in the Mughal atelier. She painted during Jahangir's reign. She has a total of 4 paintings to her name, all 4 of which are absolutely stunning. So in case you haven't seen that episode, I will link it here or here, one of the two. And please go ahead and watch that. And in this particular episode, we will be talking about 4 more female artists, which is interesting because if you go to the last episode, there I say that there are 4 in total, but when I was researching for this particular topic, I realized that there is another particular artist. So today we will be talking about 4 more female artists: Rukaya Bano, Nini Banu, Nadira Banu, and Khursheed Banu. Khursheed Banu is the one that I had no idea about until last week, and then just popped up. And she has a gorgeous painting, by the way, which is right at the last, so do check that out. And what else was I supposed to say? I am really overstressed and overworked in this week, you guys. I didn't bother to change into something remotely interesting. I'm just wearing, why is my nose itchy? I'm just wearing a hoodie. And yeah, and while I talk about these amazingly talented women and their absolutely gorgeous paintings, I will be putting together this particular look, which is a greyish, blackish look. I just hope it's not too goth. Chale phir. The story starts in 1578, where Akbar, oh God, I'm never prepared. I'm having a really chaotic July, you guys. Anyway, so the story starts in 1578, where Akbar invites the Jesuits to one of his many Ibadat Khana debates. So these Ibadat Khana debates were one of those interfaith debates where the Mughal emperor would invite people from all sorts of different faiths and quiz them about all sorts of esoteric topics like what is life, what is death, is there an afterlife in your religion, how is God conceived in your religion, all of that. Right? All of those really highfalutin philosophical topics, which apparently Akbar was very, very interested in. Which, of course, a lot of people tend to think that this led him to create his own religion, which is not correct. He didn't create his own religion. But he did seem to have a very interesting philosophy on God, on life, etc. in general, which probably we could discuss in another video. And fascinatingly, these debates were not very harmonious, as you may have guessed. In fact, Abul Fazl tells us that they would become very acrimonious and abusive. You know, these were a lot like those TV news debates where people get like really worked up. And we know this because Abul Fazl wrote as to how His Majesty, who was Akbar, was so fed up of this that he eventually decided to end these debates. Like, bahut ho gaya, boss. I cannot take this. What do you think this is, Republic TV? Anyway, so yeah. So he finished the debates. So he shut these debates in 1582 AD, which is just 4 years after he started this a very ambitious project. And before that, the Jesuits had already visited Akbar's court. And they didn't come empty-handed, of course. You're not supposed to go to the emperor empty-handed. And they actually gifted him a very interesting gift. They gifted him 8 volumes of the Royal Polyglot Bible. And the illustration of the polyglot. The illustrations of the Polyglot Bible, it's not a very easy word to speak. The illustrations of the Polyglot Bible was something that really caught Akbar's eye. He was like really, enamored by it. And then he also had them circulated, the 8 volumes of the Polyglot Bible, to the harem, where the ladies could actually look at these paintings. And the ladies are like flipping through the Bible. Why did I say Bible like the Kardashians do? Bible. Snap out of it, Ruchika. The ladies were flipping through the pages of the Bible. See? So the ladies were flipping through the pages of the Bible, and they were as enamored by it as Akbar was. They were really appreciating the skills of the European painters. Like, these guys got some real skills. And one of them was like, wow, I really like this. And she was one of those people who's like, I will paint this. I will paint something similar or something like this. She's very inspired by it. And she's one of those people who's like, if I say it, then I do it. Very driven, ambitious people, and like me, who's like, if I say it, then I do it only 10 years later. Anyway, the person who was like this, very driven, very ambitious, was Nini Banu, the one with the cute name. And she was the one who painted one of the most heartfelt paintings in the Mughal atelier. Don't you underestimate her just because she has a cute name. Now, Nini's painting is a modified version of this particular painting. And this European painting is done by Hieronymus Verex. I think that's how the name is pronounced. I'm going to write it here just in case I am not pronouncing it correct. So this painting is done by Hieronymus Verex. And the European painting basically depicts the martyrdom of Saint Cecilia. So the legend of Cecilia is that she greatly enraged the Roman prefect Almicus, and Almicus ordered her to be burnt. But since she's a saint and she has a lot of supernatural powers, the flames actually didn't harm her. So Almicus sent a Roman soldier to behead her. The Roman soldier struck her thrice unsuccessfully, and according to Roman law, you cannot strike somebody more than thrice. So he could not strike her the 4th time, and he left her there where she basically bled to death. Men. So this painting basically depicts Cecilia after she was attacked. Her 3 wounds are on display, almost taking center stage, as does her pain and agony. One of her companions seems to be rinsing the cloth which is used to wipe away Cecilia's blood from her wounds on the neck, while one of the cherubs is bringing her a crown because she's now attained martyrdom. And meanwhile, you can see a very somber looking Christ parting through the clouds to bless her. It's quite a scene, very visceral, very painful. But most of this is actually absent in Nini's rendition, who did this her own way, just like Frank Sinatra did. And more, much more than this, I did it my way. I don't know what that was. That was my rendition of Frankie's My Way, which wasn't even half as good as Nini's rendition of this particular painting, which is absolutely chef's kiss. So Nini's painting actually does not mention Saint Cecilia at all. The marks on her neck are really faint, and even though the look on Cecilia's face is somber, she doesn't exactly look like she's in deep pain. Curiously, the inscription, apart from mentioning Nini as the artist, also quotes a few lines from Amir Khusro's ghazal, which, as Mika Natif points out, is about abandonment, the suffering caused by love, and the pain of creative process. Trust Amir Khusro to write about something absolutely abstract. Amir Khusro just really didn't make any of his works easier for people to understand. He would really write for the love of language, that guy. Anyway, coming back to the point, this is why Nini's Cecilia actually looks at the spectator with a deep yearning. And in this manner, Nini removes the scene from its original context, which is martyrdom, and positions it in a more Persianate setting, where she depicts Cecilia as being a victim of love, which is Cecilia's love for Christ. But of course, Nini wasn't the only one who felt really inspired by European paintings. The other person who felt deeply inspired by European paintings was Rukaya Bano. Just like Nini, we actually practically know nothing about the personal life of Rukaya Bano, except that both Nini and Rukaya painted for Jahangir's atelier. So Rukaya was actually inspired by this particular painting of Adam and Eve by J. Sadler, who was himself quite impressed by a similar painting painted before him by Crispin Broke, which frankly is quite a domino effect of inspiration, from Crispin Broke to Sadler to Miss Rukaya, who clearly did not really appreciate the whole painting. So she just took out Adam and made a portrait of him. So while Sadler's Adam and Eve are sitting in a garden with their babies, and Adam is deep in thought, possibly at having been banished from heaven, they sinned, right? Like, everyone knows this. Everyone knows why they were banished from heaven. I'm really not going to go into this. There's food being cooked in the background in the painting, possibly food that is barely salted, because, European food is hardly salted. Which is also perhaps why Rukaya didn't paint that. I'm not going to paint European food. Just too bland for my tastes. I eat superior Mughal food. So she only paints Adam, but unlike the Adam of Sadler, who is quite muscular, keeping in line with the European, particularly Greco-Roman sensibilities, Rukaya's Adam is Adam. I think I was trying to say the Arabic Adam, Rukaya's Adam is a lot less muscular, since overtly muscular men was not really the ideal trait of masculinity in the subcontinent. If anything, kings in the subcontinent, who were often regarded as the ideal type of masculinity, right? Whenever they would have themselves painted, they would have themselves painted in the best way. So if you look at the paintings of, say, Akbar and Jahangir, they have been depicted as pretty podgy, very plump and full, instead of, ripped six-pack abs, which is great. Yay to the subcontinent promoting healthy body standards in history. Sensibilities that seem to have completely, sadly changed now. Now, once again, the subcontinent thinks and looks towards the West, where the ideal type is the ripped, muscular man. So here again, Rukaya, just like our Nini, fuses the European with the Persian quite skillfully. Furthermore, Rukaya's Adam, with its eyes closed, appears a lot more calm and meditative, which makes sense since Mika Natif points out in her book that in the subcontinent, nudity was often associated with ascetics who were meditating. Just like this particular Mughal painting from the Baburnama, where Babur is visiting ascetics in Gurkatri, I think it's Kurkatri or Gurkatri, which was basically sort of an ashram where ascetics can be seen scantily clad, symbolizing the shedding of material pleasures of clothing. The idea that, saints should not wear clothes because they seem to have conquered hot and cold and all of these things that clothes are supposed to protect you from. And that's exactly the idea that Rukaya seems to be putting onto Adam as a meditative, nude saint, unlike the European Adam. And to add to Nini and Rukaya's many talents comes Nadira Banu, who is in fact quite likely painted before Nini and Rukaya, since she is said to have, in fact not said to have, we have a proper inscription, she learnt painting under Akariza, who was an Iranian painter who came to find patronage in the subcontinent under Akbar and was employed in Prince Salim, Jahangir's atelier. And as I was telling you, we know this because in the inscription to one of Akariza's many paintings, a caption of sorts, in case inscriptions sort of confuse you with stone inscriptions, it's just basically something which is written at the bottom of the painting. It clearly mentions that Akariza is the teacher of Nadira Banu, who is the daughter of Mir Taki. Now this of course is not the Mir Taki Mir of 18th century, who was a very acclaimed poet in his own right, and he was also the person who penned these very famous lines. Patta patta, boota boota, हाल हमारा जाने है पत्ता पत्ता जाने न जाने गुल ही न जाने बाग तो सारा जाने है पत्ता पत्ता. The second line is absolutely gorgeous, but that is not Nadira's father. Nadira's father was Mir Taki. That's it. There is no Mir afterwards. But this is Mir Taki Mir. Although the entire song, by the way, is not by Mir Taki Mir. I think it's just these first 4 lines. And the rest of it is penned by Majru Sultanpuri. Yeah, I might be completely wrong about this. Like, don't quote me on this. And mention in the comments in case I haven't got the lyricist correct. Anyway, coming back to the point. In this regard, actually, Nadira is somebody who we know the most about, considering we know about her teacher, the person who taught her painting, Akariza, and we also know about her father, which is actually a lot more than we know about Rukaya and Nini. And we also know that she painted this, which is part of a composite painting. Now, composite painting is basically many paintings painted by different painters put together in one page, sort of almost like a collage. So this painting of Saint Matthew with the lion was inspired by this painting, again painted by Hieronymus Virex. It is an exact copy, although to be fair, Nadira's lion looks a lot cuter than the one in the original. And lastly, we come to Khursheed Banu, who also painted for Jahangir. European art wasn't really much to her liking, clearly, which is why she painted this absolutely stunning original, depicting a fight between two elephants with their mahavats clearly hanging onto the elephant for dear life. And the person next to this scary scene, who almost feels like he's going to be trampled underfoot by one of the elephants, is about to launch an arrow, possibly to calm one of the elephants down and to stop this entire chaos. And the painting is actually an interesting one, unlike most Mughal paintings, where foliage in the background is a regular feature, but here there is actually no such background. But the absolute chaos is captured perfectly by Khursheed Banu. And through these paintings, these 5 women, Rukaya, Sahifa, Nini, Nadira, and Khursheed, all 5 of them seem to have immortalized themselves in a world which was largely dominated by men. And even though that really does not make up for their relatively unknown lives, it does indeed present them with a very unique place in history. And that is all that I have for you today. I hope this wasn't a particularly chaotic episode. And if any of this sparked your curiosity on the subject, I'm going to reiterate that there is a list of sources in the description box that you can go ahead and read, either to fact check everything that I blabbered over here, or to read about all these absolutely fascinatingly talented artists. And before you just walk away, please like and share the video and subscribe to the channel. And do let me know in the comments section, what is it that you would like me to talk about in the next episode of Eyeshadow and Etihaas? Or in case you have any suggestions on how to improve the channel, just a general feedback, what you like about the channel, what you don't like about the channel, any of that, do let me know in the comments section. Your feedback really means a lot to me.